Hey guys, it's Mia and Michelle from Gray Family Farms. Today we're going to do a tour of our garden, an update. We haven't done one in a while, and then we are also going to show you some pest issues that we're dealing with and how to handle them. It might not be the most fun video with the pests, but you gotta deal with them. Alright, you ready?
Very gross.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do this. Alright, so the first one that we have, these are our orange hat tomatoes. This one actually got destroyed by a tomato hornworm, like I'd say 3 weeks ago or so. But then now it has all this new growth and it looks almost healthier than the one that had no damage. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to see some more tomatoes off of this one. We also wanted to give you an update on our seeds that we started for the fall. So in the back we have the purple kale, and this one's just starting to get its first true leaf. We have other kales. Some of the lettuces that were over here did not germinate, so we may want to reseed pretty quickly to try and get some other things growing. We have the Brussels sprouts, broccoli, calendula flowers, and then 2 of our 3 pumpkins did germinate. These are starting to turn yellow because the roots have already grown so much. They need to be repotted already. So that's probably something on our weekend to-do list, because they definitely need some more nutrition. So that the yellowing leaves, it's not necessary. It's just their warning sign, like, hey, I'm running out of nutrients. I need to be repotted. So that's one of the first things we need to do this weekend after we do this video. All right, I just wanted to stop before we go into the garden and show you the update of what we planted this week. These are not edible plants, but these are plants that are going to take over this fence. We want to protect our chickens from the dogs and provide them some shade during the day. So we added these Carolina jasmine plants along the fence line, and we started feeding them into the fence. There we go. So that they'll start kind of taking over. These are a good climbing plant for fence lines or arch trellises if you want something to cover an area up. And they are evergreen plants, so we will still have green even through the winter when everything else dies off. So it'll be constant protection.
With us, but we're going to start over here. It's our chicken coop. It's not super pretty inside right now because we are currently transitioning some smaller chickens out with our larger chickens. There's John Ralphio is the black one, Mona Lisa is the blue. We have Ruby, the Rhode Island red. She's back there. You can kind of see her silhouette in the back. And we have some babies that they're actually in the chicken coop right now. They're a little upset with us because we have them locked in the run. We usually let them free range throughout the day, but this morning we woke up to some birds that were cawing, and we could hear them. Our bedroom window is not too far from our garden, so I could hear these birds just making a very loud, disturbing noise, and I knew in my gut that something was wrong. And sure enough, I came out here, and there was a hawk that flew right over my head. So we put him in here, just trying to keep him safe while I make sure that the coast is clear from the hawk, and then we'll let him back out. So we'll start with the largest tomato bed. So these are the blushing ones on the far end are the Triple L crop. We've gotten, I'd say, about 10 tomatoes off it so far. We've got a lot more that are blushing that are going to be turning here soon, so we're excited about that. Second 2 plants are our Aunt Ruby's German green tomatoes. We've gotten a couple decent sized tomatoes off of those. They're not producing quite as much, but they are producing larger tomatoes. Let's see, the next 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 back here. These are our Lucky Tiger tomatoes from Baker Creek. These are hands down my husband's favorite. Let me see if we have any that are ready. They are green, and then as they ripen they get this beautiful orange and pink colors that come in through them. They're not quite cherry tomato size, but not super big, so they're perfect for snacking. My husband comes out here a couple times a day and grabs a few, and he's not a big tomato eater, so if you have a non-tomato eater in your family, you might want to give these ones a whirl. The last few plants over here are our sweetie tomatoes. They have been producing like crazy, and they're actually getting so long that they're kind of falling over on one another. I actually have never learned how to properly prune a tomato plant until this year. So I used the regular tomato cages that you get from the store, and then I learned how to prune, and now like this, let's see, this plant is going up, out, over, up, up, like they're insane. They're probably, I'd say at least 8 to 10 feet tall if I stood the branches upright. Like here, look at this one for example. That's about as tall as I am here. So this one's coming all the way up and then bending over and coming down and going back up again. They're huge. So next year I'm definitely going to be trying the cattle panel trellis trick, and then tying them up properly on that. But they just honestly had nowhere to tie them up once they reached beyond the tomato cages on this one. But as you can see, we've got a ton of cherry tomatoes. We get a good sized basket of them every day, and the kids come out here and snack on them as well, and that's exactly what they're here for. So I'll definitely be growing these ones again. Alright, the next up are our jalapeno plants. So there's 3 plants. We've harvested about 20 jalapenos off them so far, and as you can probably see, there are a ton still on the plant. So we've got a good harvest coming this year. We even have more flowers. Let's see, on the top of these plants you can see the little buds. So we'll definitely be getting more off of that. My chickens have definitely taken over this bed as their like hangout space. So there's a lot of brown exposed, like the garden bed is exposed because they sit down there and they hide down there. So my Thai basil plants have kind of gotten smushed over here and that way. But we're still harvesting off of that. Same with our basil plants. They're looking very healthy. Lots of harvests off of that. I've been taking it to work. We've dried, I don't know, a ton. Like at least three bushels are on my, hanging in my kitchen right now. But we've done quite a bit. We already have a bunch dried as well. And then our purple opal basil, there's 2 plants. They are still producing. This smaller one over here did kind of catching up to the other, so it's getting a good harvest off of that now too. Let's see, we do have thyme plants that are down here. Oh, it looks like we have a chicken feather in our thyme plant. Like I told you, they hang out down here, but we still have thyme. This should last over winter, so I'm really hoping that we can take decent care of it and it'll last so I don't have to plant a new one next year. Our oregano still going as well. They definitely have been sitting on these plants, so they're not quite as healthy as I would like, but they're doing all right regardless. There are our Tabasco pepper plants. We've gotten one off of it so far. I'm leaving these ones on. I want to see, they're like a deep orange right now, and I'd love to see if they turn an even deeper color. So I'm going to leave them. And a really cool thing, here's our okra forest. We actually harvested our first 3 okras off in the last 12 hours. So I can show you those. But we do have an aphid issue underneath the leaves. Like this one right here in the center of the screen, you can kind of see there's definitely aphids underneath. So I have, I'm going to do some soapy water on these and see if that helps. I also have some diatomaceous earth that I can also put on them. Hopefully that would help. But they are just barely starting to produce. I'm super excited. All right. I do have 2 lavender plants in these buckets. They were looking great, then not so great, and now I think they look okay. They're not fabulous, but I'm really hoping those also last. I've had really bad luck with lavender in the past, and I'm not sure why. I try watering too much. I try not watering as much. I've added fertilizer, and they're still struggling. So I'm going to keep trying on that. Here is our smaller tomato bed. Let's see, these are the sweetie tomatoes, although these are a bit bigger than some of the sweeties we have in the back. Mixed in with some Lucky Tigers. Let's see, right there's a Lucky Tiger. We also harvest off of these pretty frequently as well. We did a tomato hornworm video recently, and this is where that guy got some of the plant, which is no bueno. But they're starting to produce. It's definitely a little bit delayed because they were smaller plants. They were a bit stunted. And these are our surprise tomatoes. We're pretty sure these came from my mother-in-law. She had gifted us some tomato plants, but she didn't realize that she had gifted us, I think these are like a Roma type tomato, but they are looking beautiful. I think we've gotten about 2 or 3 off of them so far. But they're pretty. I find it interesting that these ones are all kind of maturing at different spots instead of in order, whereas like the sweetie tomato, it's almost ombre, like you have green on one side and then red on the back. These are all kind of going at different rates. Like typically these ones would have been the first to mature, and then it would get red, or these would be red and then these would still be green in the back. But these are all going at their own pace. Here's my little baby cucumber plant. We planted this much later than our other cucumber plants, which are looking a little sickly right now. Let's see. It's having a hard time focusing today. There we go. We're still getting some harvest off of that, but I'm probably gonna have to pull it. It's not looking its best. I'm gonna be sad because I'm gonna miss having something climbing up on the trellis. And these are a Carm de something melon. I'll put the name on the screen. But we're actually getting quite a few little melon fruits. I think the last time I counted, which I am not counting all these little baby ones that I'm now seeing, the last time I counted the actual larger ones that we have inside, there were 6 of them. There you are. There's our melon. So there's 6 of them hiding in here. You can kind of see one poking out way over there. So there's 6 hiding down there. This is the first time I've grown these, so I'm still learning, but I'm loving how they're growing up the trellis. I come out here once a day at least and work on the trellising, and I don't know, it's just very green and lush and pretty, and the melons grew very easily. They're really good. We haven't had any issues with pollination because they draw all the pollinators. I'm getting a lot of honeybees and butterflies coming on these guys. I just don't know when to harvest them, so it's going to be a learning curve for me. We do have radishes, and I was told from numerous videos that these would not grow in the heat, but I think I did a pretty good job. We did it as just like a trial, like, hey, let's just see if we can do it, and I'm really glad I did. We don't have very many. There's another one, let's see, right back there, not very big, but they grew something, so I'm just pretty proud of that. We are definitely going to sow some more seeds for the fall garden, because that's supposed to be the better time to actually plant these. Let's see, our bell pepper plants they're just like baby bell peppers. We do have some red ones down on the bottom over there. We've probably harvested about 4 of these. I did buy these as plant starts. They were already kind of growing from our local nursery. But we have saved seeds off of the first peppers that we harvested. Now here's a pretty orange one that's getting ready. Let's see, where are you? There you are. So So next year I do want to plant them from seed, from the seeds that we harvested. If you can't distinguish what kind of leaf this is, I'm happy to say we are growing watermelons. So this is actually the first one that came to fruition, but it is much smaller than the other one that we have. So let's walk through this beautiful trellis and find our larger watermelon. So let me put my hand in there for reference. So here's my hand. It's much bigger, pretty heavy. It's still white on the bottom, no yellowing just yet, and the vine is still pretty well attached, so I don't think it's ready to harvest yet. So we have 2 so far. We have 2 plants and 2 melons. This one, the first one I showed you, I'm not sure if it's because it's in here or if it's just not getting as much food, but it is definitely smaller. So here's my hand against this one. It's still going to be a good melon for us as a small family of 5. We'll still be able to snack on that and enjoy that. Our corn has sprouted. Now let me go back around the other side. So here's our corn. We did have a storm recently and it kind of knocked them over a bit, but this is an ear of corn right here, and we have a small one right here. I'm not sure if they actually pollinated, so that's something we'll find out here in a bit. You're supposed to grow these in blocks, which I didn't. I mean, I grew them. There was 5 originally, but we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4 plants left. But they're wind pollinated, so they kind of share the pollen off of the top sprouts with each other. And I'm not sure if I did enough of them all at once or if I did them too far apart. So this is going to be like a learning year for us. Last year at our old house, we did harvest some corn off of our corn plants, and it was okay. It wasn't the best tasting corn we've ever had, so it may also just be the variety. But I'm going to definitely keep trying corn because I think it's a good plant to have in your garden. Alright, so this is the last bed. This is actually where we're going to spend time with our pests. So we have tomato plants here, and then this is the one that I propagated. And it was looking a little rough right off the bat, but it's definitely perking back up. And I did prune off some of the lower leaves so that it wouldn't be exposed to any disease or anything just yet. Our bush beans are perking back up. We also have gotten a decent amount of rain recently. Here's our zucchini plants. No zucchini off them yet, but our pest issue might explain why. Here's squash, and then these are all different kinds of winter squash that I planted down here. Let's see, spaghetti squash, a butternut squash, things like that. So I'm going to take a pause real quick, and then we're going to dive into the pest issue. Alright, so I actually came out here this morning just to kind of check on things. Sorry, I had something in my mouth. And I looked at the zucchini because they're just not producing yet, and they should be by now. And I found these signs of vine borer damage. So let me get you down nice and close. So down here, there's these holes in the vine. That is exactly where a vine borer would climb into a plant to take over it. Let's see if I can find some on this other plant too. This one has, this is like a better sign of vine borers. Let's see, there we go. The stuff that I have on my finger, it's actually like the pulp of the vine that they're chewing out and spitting out to get into the vine. But if you see that, you pretty much, it's guaranteed you have vine borer damage. I actually pulled one out already this morning and squished it, and I'm hoping to get the rest of them out so that I can actually harvest some squash this year. But I need to find them now. Oh, here we go. Here's one. So I brought some tools out here with me so that we could do this together. Not the most pleasant thing to do, but it has to be done. But here is a vine borer larva. This one's actually really tiny, but that's what they look like. They're just little larvae that I'm gonna put them in this little tea tree dish so that I can save them and give them to my chickens. But they get much bigger, so I'm hoping the one that I saw earlier I can find again. Oh yeah, I see him in there. Let's figure out how to get to him. There you are, little friend. Not friend. Definitely not a friend. Let me see if I can squeeze this guy out. Oh, he's in there pretty good. So I've never had this issue before, so I am learning. Like, I don't know if I should just restart all of these plants if I have enough time to restart or what. It would be really sad to restart them because these are pretty well established plants by now, but I'm worried that none of the nutrients from the roots will actually get to the fruit now if I leave them like this. There we go. It's not focusing at all, but ugh, gross. So there's two. I have no idea if there are more. A good way to tell if you have vine borers are yellowing leaves. So these were the leaves I picked off that kind of drew my attention. It basically is saying like, hey, all the nutrition that was supposed to go to these leaves is not getting there, and it's likely because there's a vine borer in here. Alright, my husband came out to say hi and check on things, so I had to pause the video real quick. But now that I have them out, I'm going to actually cover this with aluminum foil, which is supposed to keep them out. Again, I really don't know if this plant is even going to survive now that they've already been in it and it's kind of shredded, but I'm at least going to give it a shot. Just like the radishes, you just never know, and we might be pleasantly surprised. A lot of the leaves are very green and healthy, so I'm feeling hopeful. So I'm going to try it. So definitely putting, these are all like the tricks that I've seen online, is putting aluminum foil around it. And then I'm also going to spray some diatomaceous earth at the bottom to just kind of keep general pests out. So let's see. Put these here. And then cover this. And then I want to cover it back up just a little bit. And so yes, I have just some diatomaceous earth that I'm going to sprinkle around just to keep any potential critters from coming back. Alright, there we have it. So let's go feed these guys to the chickens. Alright, well, it started raining on me, so I just kind of quickly ran inside. But I'm going to keep working on those. That last bed closest to my face is where the vine borer damage is, so we'll keep working on those and getting those out. Spreading my diatomaceous earth, which I'm going to now have to re-spread now that it started raining. But there's my pretty garden. Isn't it so cute? I think it looks a lot bigger when we do the tours, but we're definitely going to at least double, if not triple, the size of the space next year. I'm excited. Alright, thank you guys for sharing this time with me, and I'm going to go inside and get some coffee. Bye.